Good morning, and welcome to Coffee and Sports. This is the morning show, powered by Wire Network. My name is Gene Walzak, the NFL genius, and to my right, I got the man that knows better, Mr. Mo Better.
Hey, good morning, Gene. Good morning, chat. Welcome. Let's get into it.
We got a special guest joining us shortly, and without further ado, he is the man that not only guards the 2, but he also guards the 3, Mr. Brett Gardy P.
Hey, what's poppin', y'all?
Hey, what's good, Brett?
What's poppin', Brett? NBA season's been great so far. It's been fun to watch. I mean, outside of the betting scandal, the season itself has been awesome. And I will be selfish and tell you that I'm so locked in. I'm bought in. It took me all 4 games to get bought back in. Clap your hands, everybody, for Philadelphia 76ers. All right, I'm done that. No more singing. But VJ Edgecombe, Tyrese Maxey set a record. It's a weird record. The most points scored by 2 guards in the first 3 games of a season. I don't know. It's a weird record. The point being is VJ Edgecombe has looked incredible. Tyrese Maxey, argue with your mama, is a top 10 NBA player right now. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Where do you have Maxey? How have you looked at the 76ers? Granted, I mean, they beat Boston, Washington, and Orlando. It's not the greatest group of wins, but they're undefeated. I don't care who goes.
Look, I'll tell you that right now. I'm locked in. They're the most exciting backcourt in the NBA, and it's not even close. I knew Edgecombe had incredible raw talent. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that I knew he would be what he is this early in his career. I've always been on the Maxey train. You know this. I've been saying since, I think, the year before last, they should invest in Maxey and make him the primary, which he is right now. The man's leading the league in scoring, 37 a game. Maxey's a bucket and a monster. And I will say this. Right now, like the way Gene said it, he's absolutely a top 10 player. He's absolutely a top 10 player. Here's the scary part about Maxey. I don't know if he finishes averaging 37 a game, but the way he's playing, absolutely sustainable. When I look at Edgecombe, I swear I'm watching young Dwayne Wade. That's what I see. I see D Wade with a better jump shot.
I will give you credit before I go to Brett. Before the draft started, you had VJ Edgecombe ahead of Ace Bailey. Most people did not, including me. I said I think Ace Bailey has the higher ceiling. I think Edgecombe has the higher floor. That's my take on it. I would have invested in the guy that had the higher ceiling. It took me all of 4 games to go, oh, I was wrong there. VJ Edgecombe looks to me like the much better player. I could be wrong. Ace Bailey could turn into be like Kevin Durant, like his comp was.
He could.
But Brett, what have you seen so far in the 76ers? Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe.
I love what I've seen so far from the Philadelphia 76ers. They're playing fast. They're playing loose. They're playing through their young talent, which is exactly how the season should go. I love what they're doing so far. Maxey has looked like a top 10 player. Edgecombe has looked like the prospect that Philly, they made the right call drafting early. And what's funny? I'm actually just kind of, the only concern I have with Philly is obviously in November you're going to have Paul George back. So obviously he's going to want touches. How do you get touches between all 4 of them without, kind of nuking what you're doing here? So I really love it when they're playing loose and fast. And like I said, my only concern right now for them is when you start getting like guys like PG back, how do you distribute touches between all 4 of him, Embiid, Edgecombe, and Maxey? But for right now, I absolutely love what Philly's doing.
They're so wing heavy though. That's what's crazy. They have so much wing talent. Kelly Oubre's giving you 18 a night. Jim Kelly's balling, and then you got Quentin Grimes coming off the bench, being a 3-and-D guy, giving you 17 a game. They have so much talent on the wing that bringing Paul George back, it shouldn't be about can we get Paul George X amount of shots. It should be about Paul George, the veteran, saying, I'm going to fit into what they're doing. I'll find my way, but I'm not going to mess up the rhythm these guys are in.
Absolutely. I created an exercise for this morning because I know you guys are massive NBA guys. And if you guys don't know, if you're living under a rock, the N1 podcast is the most knowledgeable basketball podcast that you can listen to. You must tune in and listen to these guys break down NBA basketball. Must. Yes, we will get into NFL. Thank you so much for the comment. But I created an exercise for you guys, okay? Because I am a homer. I 100% know who I am. So I want to do a Tyrese Maxey or to see if you guys truly have him as a top 10 player in the NBA. I don't want to hear, I have him there now. I want to hear if you have a franchise and you are starting at this point in top 10 franchise players in the NBA going forward right now. So, I'm sorry, LeBron's probably not going to be ahead of him in this part because he's probably going to retire. Right? So, in my view, the top 10 most valuable players in basketball, I will start with the easy ones. SGA, Joker, Giannis, Luka. Any argument for Maxey over any of those guys?
No, I'm not going there.
Brett, nothing.
You could throw Wemby in there too, by the way.
Yeah, what Wemby in there too? How about Ant Edwards? We throw Ant Edwards in there too?
Yeah, we can throw Ant Edwards in there too.
I am not. I hate.
Are you taking Maxey over Ant-Man?
Because what people are going to tell me is Anthony Edwards' size and what he could be. But we've been talking about what he could be the last couple of years. I don't know. Maybe he's as good as he's ever going to be. I think Maxey's still getting better. What does Ant have over Maxey other than he's a physically bigger player? But in terms of what they can do in terms of shot creation and how they get downhill, Maxey does it as good or better. He actually gets to the foul line more than Edwards does. And even though Ant's a big guy, no one's going to call him a great defender. So I think Maxey has a gear in him that Ant doesn't have. So I'll be the oddball. I'll take Maxey.
No, you're fine. You're fine. That's 6 for Gardy, 3, 5 for Mo. Here's where it gets interesting because I want to eliminate the old heads, right? We're not starting a franchise with Kevin Durant, LeBron James, or Steph Curry over Tyrese Maxey. Are we good there? Can we eliminate them? But where it gets fun is where, and I think his most comparable player in the NBA, I think the most debatable player in the NBA is last year's clutch player of the year, Jalen Brunson or Tyrese Maxey. If you're starting a franchise, and those are the two options on the wall that you could start with, who are you starting with? Brett, I'll start with you.
That's so tough because Jalen Brunson is also still just a very young player as well.
Yeah.
You know what? I'd probably stick with Brunson on this one.
I'm a huge Jalen Brunson fan. I think he's the ultimate overachiever. I don't think no one projected him to be what he's become in the NBA, and I followed him going back to when he was in college. Having said that, you're saying I'm going to draft them, and I have the option between the two and what they're going to be going forward. Brunson is more accomplished than Maxey. He's not better than Maxey, and Maxey I think has a higher upside. I don't think Maxey's done. I would take Maxey.
I have Maxey also. The next one, and this is I do not have Maxey on this one. I'll lead this one off. Is Cade Cunningham. I'll take Cade over Maxey. I think it's close, but this is my tier right here where I have Tyrese Maxey in this little tier, and I'll give you the whole pocket shortly. But Cade Cunningham or Tyrese Maxey?
I think this is about where Maxey is too, but I think I would go Cade.
I would take Cade too.
He's just got some great size for the point guard spot that you can't teach. So
Guardians for you're at 8. Mo is at 6. I'm at 7 because I gave Ant Edwards the over at Maxey, but I'm fine with Mo being. So we have 8 players better. So you only have 2 more spots, Guardy 3. So if you're in the top 10, we're gonna find out. The next name up is Mr. Paolo Banchero of the Orlando Magic. Who will you start a franchise with? Both young, absolute superstar talents. Where are we at? Banchero or Maxey?
See, what's tough about this one is I almost want to say Maxey here. Paulo is interesting because before his rookie year even started, I made a bold prediction that he'd be the MVP of the NBA one day.
You did.
But say this is where it gets tough. I might have to say I might end up going Maxey here. It's tough because Paulo just keeps frustrating me every time I watch him. He's starting to look more like a modern Josh Smith than anything, but I might go Maxey here.
Okay, Maxey. Who do you got, Mo?
I'm going Maxey. Look, all the metrics say that Paolo should be the next superstar when you look at his size and everything that goes with him. But when you watch him play, he's a highly inefficient player. And that's just on offense. On defense, he gives you little to nothing. So I know what he could be, but I'm going with what Maxey is and what Maxey will be. I'll take Maxey.
All right, we have 7, 8, 9 right now. Next name up, Ja Morant.
Maxey.
Oh, that's easy. I got Maxey.
Okay, well, that was very quick. It's okay. I have 2 more names on this list, and if you have them in your top 10, we're gonna find out shortly. Next name up, Baby Joker, Alpermain Sengun, or Tyrese Maxey.
Oh, I think I'm going Maxey.
Maxey.
I'm going Maxey.
I'm a big Sengun guy.
I am too, but I he's not even the best player on his own team. Like, he's a good player, but he's so awkward sometimes. Like, I don't know what he's going to be. I don't know what his ceiling is. Is he Joker or is he Sabonis? He's somewhere in the middle.
I think he's closer to Sabonis.
I think he's somewhere in the middle. Now, out of respect, I put him over J-Dub. I put him over a lot of guys that just haven't, I feel like J-Dub, Cooper Flag, a lot of those guys that, in my opinion, have not reached their potential. I put Tyrese Maxey over. Are you guys in agreement there right now?
Yeah, I don't think they're there yet.
Okay.
I'm there. I don't think J-Dub's there yet.
Anthony Davis, to me, is a little long in the tooth, so I kind of skipped over him. Are you guys okay with me skipping over Anthony Davis?
Yeah, I don't have AD top 10. I think he's still a high-level player, but he's descending.
Well, the last name up is Mr. Jason Tatum. Tatum has season-ending injury, so you'd have to start behind the 8 ball, see what he is after the injury. But going forward, are you taking Tyrese Maxey or Jason Tatum?
I'm actually a big Tatum fan, provided that he can be. I can't project health, but let's assuming he's what he was. I would still take Jason Tatum.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd probably still run Tatum here. I think he's going to recover closer to Kevin Durant than some of these other guys. So I think he'll come back to pretty much what he was before. So I'll take Tatum.
So just to be clear, Mo has him as the 8th best franchise starter. I have him as the 8th best franchise starter because I'll take him over Tatum. And Guardy 3 has him as the 11th best, which is fine. That's no issue there. I know I was going to be a homer walking into this. I fully understood that. But it's very interesting to see the trajectory of the former 22nd overall pick, the guy that was learning behind James Harden, the guy that took second fiddle to Joel Embiid. And then last but not least, and I talk about the 76ers, and then we'll move on with the full show of non-Philadelphia sports. But did you guys happen to catch the Joel Embiid press conference after the 76ers? And I'll give the credit to the 76ers, like the team that interviews them, the journalists and the reporters that are interviewing them. They asked Joel Embiid something I felt like was borderline disrespectful, but they said, how does it feel that the team plays better when you're not on the court?
Wow.
And he turned around and he goes, well, it's been 12 years, so it's about time. Then they asked him about his minutes, and he said, if I'm going to play spurts of minutes and not really get in the groove, I'd rather be at home with my family and not be at the game. He seems happier that they're winning. I just think it's very interesting that the answers that he gave in that interview. It's about time that the Sixers can win without me, that they don't need me. And then the second part of the question was, they were asking about his minutes restriction. He goes, I'd rather not have a minute restriction. But if you're going to play me 20 minutes, let me play it like a regular half of basketball, and then I'll sit. But don't do this 3 minutes here. That's like 4 or 5 times up down the court, and then I'm out. I get no rhythm, I'd rather be at home with my family. That was the way he worded that. I'd love your take on both of those statements. Mo?
Well, the first question, that's a really strong question. Wow. I give him credit. That is a strong question that he could have came back with a really nasty answer. Look, to ask him that is a great question. His response saying it's about time, I think that was not a bad answer because he wasn't in any way saying that he wasn't impressed with what the team has done. But I do think if you've been the central figure on that team and that franchise for over 12 years, it's difficult to take a step back and no longer be considered the man, right? And with the minutes situation, I think the Sixers are smart having him on a pitch count because of his history. And anybody that knows Joel Embiid, his injuries are chronic. They're not going away. His problems are chronic. You have to have him in limited minutes. Now, I agree with him that if I'm only going to play 20-plus minutes or 22 minutes, whatever it is, then let me get all 22 out. And we'll see where – because, honestly, Brett and I talked about this on N1. With him on your roster, you have to find a balance between playing with him, which means you're walking it up and you're more slower, deliberate paced offense, or then playing the way they play, which they play their best, when Maxey, Edgecombe, Grimes, and them can get out and run. They're two completely different teams. So I would let him get his 20 minutes out and let him sit. And if he gets healthier and better conditioned throughout the year, then I would gradually ramp up his minutes. But even if he's 100% healthy, I think most of us think the best thing for the Sixers and for Joel Embiid going forward is he is not the focal point of the offense, that he's more of a complement to whatever Maxey, whatever Edgecombe, Grimes, or the other guys can do, because I think that will get you more bang for your buck. Going forward, you want him to play. You want him healthy. He cannot carry the workload of a franchise player at this stage of his career.
Completely agree with you. RD3, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with everything Mo just said, and I completely get where he's coming from, though. It's one of those things, he's happy they're winning, but when I bet he is kind of frustrated just kind of playing in spurts. When you're a franchise guy used to playing, your 30, 35 minutes, and you're able to take as many shots as you kind of want and get into rhythms. It's tough to all of a sudden take a step back and only play for 3-4 minutes. So I completely get where both are coming from. And at the end of the day, I think that the 76ers are smart in doing this. And even them ramping up his minutes, I wouldn't ramp him up too much. If you want to conserve him for the postseason, maybe go from like 25 to maybe 20 to 25 or 30 minutes at most. But yeah, no, I think it's smart what the Sixers are doing, but you know what? Maybe there's a balance. Maybe they can keep him in instead of maybe 3 to 4 minutes, maybe bump it up to 5 or 6 and play him like about 4 times for different stretches. But I think that what the Sixers are doing is smart, but I also think Embiid's feelings are completely valid. So we'll see if they can find a balance, make him happier.
That what they're saying around the city, what a lot of like Daryl Morey and a lot of the guys in the early press conferences, or the guys that get on the radio and talk to their local WIP, they want one postseason of a healthy Joel Embiid and a healthy Sixers roster to see if it was all worth it. So they are trying to conserve Joel Embiid as best as possible. They were trying to be as conservative as possible with Paul George. They were trying to be as conservative as possible with the return of Jarrett McCain. They want Grimes, McCain, George, Embiid, Maxey, Edgecombe. They want that to be their playoff rotation, and they want to see how that plays out. What my biggest concern is, a lot of these guys are learning to play without Joel Embiid on the court. And when Joel Embiid gets on the court, it slows the pace down. And although Joel is playing efficient or scoring the basketball, the 76ers are not playing efficient and scoring at a high clip. Their plus minus is notably down because they're not running. When you have VJ Edgecombe and you have Tyrese Maxey and Kelly Oubre and these guys that are up and Quentin Grimes are getting up and down the court, Adem Bona looked incredible in the fourth quarter and overtime with 5 blocks the other night versus Washington. They came back from down 19 in the fourth quarter to win that game, and it was off the back of the backup. And I don't want to say the backup, but the truth is they look better when he's not there. And I think the concern I have is, yeah, you are keeping Joel healthy for the playoffs, but how are they going to work the system when they're all together?
I would almost consider subbing Paul George and Embiid out early when they're all together, right? So you can start all 4 of them, but I'd almost sub those 2 out early and almost kind of split up, play them enough like in the beginning and end of games where they can get a rhythm, but like just play Embiid and Paul George more with, maybe the bench unit. That way you can run a slower pace with them, but continue a, torrid pace when you have Maxey and Edgecombe. That might be their best bet going forward, but we'll see what they do. It'll definitely be interesting.
They're talking about a lineup with, this is a very interesting lineup, and I want to play it out for you. And they're calling it their speed lineup. When McCain gets back, they want to run Maxey, McCain, Edgecombe, Grimes, and Adem Bona. And they want to absolutely run speed, just run. So they're talking about, Nick Nurse has talked about a potential speed lineup with Oubre or Grimes and then Maxey, McCain, Edgecombe, and then Adem Bona. I think that'll be interesting. I got to stop. It's 24 minutes in. We talked a lot of Sixers basketball. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a little selfish when it comes to this. I get to talk to 2 of the smartest basketball guys in the world. I want to hear their thoughts on my team. So I was a little selfish this morning. Let's move forward. Last night, we seen a buzzer beater. We seen your guy, Austin Reeves, knocking down the shot that allowed the Lakers to prevail in a game in which they were up like 20 points. It was an absolute blowout. The Minnesota Timberwolves came all the way back, rode all the way back, but it wasn't enough because Austin Reeves ended it for the Los Angeles Lakers. I had twofold question for you, Mo, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, and it doesn't need to be something that I guess needs to get brought up, but number one, who the hell is Jake LaRavia? Never heard of the guy before. He had 27 points last night.
Yeah, he was big.
And number 2, is it the end of Bronny James? Like, you think when Luke is out, LeBron is out, early in the season, he would really get some run. And Jake LaRavia, I mean, granted, Jake LaRavia is a forward and Bronny is a bigger guard. I get it. But what is your take on that? Do you think it's the end of Bronny James? Like, he's really just not an NBA player? And what are your thoughts on the Lakers getting a huge win last night without Luka, without LeBron? They're 3-2, and they've dealt with injuries to their best players.
So let me start with the Bronny thing.
Okay.
I think right now, today, he's not an NBA player. I think he's still he's a developing player who should probably still be in the developmental league, honing his skills. That doesn't mean he won't eventually be an NBA player, but if he was going to crack the lineup, the rotation, he would have done it now. Now would be the opportunity. And he hasn't done that. As far as the team as a whole, look, when LeBron was hurt, I knew what we were going to be. Luka goes down, I thought we're probably going to be under 500, and Austin Reeves steps up. And I asked this question last year about Austin Reeves. I asked, was he the best third option in the NBA?
Yeah, you did.
I asked that, and a lot of people said no, this or that. He's not, and maybe that might have been true last year. But this particular season, he's been thrust into the spotlight as the primary.
Yeah,
and all the guy has done is average 34 points and 10 assists. That's what he's done as a primary. He's getting to the foul line almost as much as Maxey. Like, Austin Reeves has shown a bag that I didn't know he had. I know he had a good handle, a deceptive handle, but now he's closing games. They're ISOing him. They're running pick and roll in him, and guys can't stop. He's splitting the pick and roll. The game-winning shot last night, I saw it unfolding. As soon as Rudy Gobert went wide instead of closing him in, I knew it was over. As soon as he split him, because Gobert couldn't recover, he doesn't have quick enough feet, it was over. I knew it. I knew it was over. Look, Austin Reeves right now is playing at an incredibly high level. I still think big picture, the Lakers are a playoff team, not a championship team. But I do think it's interesting to watch him play and to continue to develop. I think he's developing in his own right into an all-star caliber player, and it's fun to watch.
Bro, what are your thoughts on the game last night?
Yeah, so when it comes to Bronny, the one thing I kept saying over and over again last year was he should be in the G League, actually getting reps in and playing, because it doesn't do him any good just jumping back and forth between the G League and just sitting at the end of the bench for the Lakers. So I think that he's still a developing player. He still has a chance to break the rotation. I just don't think the Lakers are doing him any favors just having him hang out at the end of the bench, and then all of a sudden, oh, everybody's injured. We're going to throw you in when you're not ready. Like that's clearly not working for his development. So I think they just got to go back to the drawing board. The game last night, it was a lot of fun. Austin Reeves is maybe becoming a legitimate star and maybe a player that when LeBron retires, maybe next year or the year after, he could be a legitimate second option for Luka. So that he's definitely solidifying himself as a piece of the Lakers' future going forward. And all I saw last night was the money on his next contract just continuing to go up, up, up. So,
oh my God, yeah.
I thought he looked great. Say the Wolves, they have that same concern that I was talking about before the year started. They don't have enough playmaking behind Julius Randle. They keep having to rely on Mike Conley, who, like, it's over for him. He just looks like washed when he's out there. So overall, great game, great back and forth game, and hope maybe we get a playoff series out of these two, because I think that would be great.
There's 4 undefeated teams left in the NBA. And I feel like it's that meme where you look at the one side and it's like loaded, right? Like the one side, it's like the Monstars, and then the other side you have like SpongeBob and Squidward. And like it's like in the Western Conference, you have Wemby and SGA, you have the Spurs and the Thunder. In the Eastern Conference, your 2 undefeated teams are the 76ers and the Chicago Bulls, 2 teams that didn't make the real playoffs last year. I don't consider the play in the playoffs. Sorry, Chicago. But or if they did make it, I think they got swept. I don't know. Remind me, but got it, bro.
Oh no, I'd say the Bulls. No, they didn't make it. They lost in the play-in.
My question would be, out of those 4 remaining undefeated teams, if you could just give me a projection of where they finish, I think the Spurs have taken that leap. I think Victor Wembanyama right now is the 3rd best player in basketball, which to me is insane to say that. But he looks incredible. I mean, I'm always going to put SGA and Joker ahead of him right now because just they're what they've done, their pedigree, their MVPs. But Wemby could win the MVP this year.
I've got Wemby in the top 5. I've got my top 3 are still in whatever order you want to put them: SGA, Joker, Giannis. I've actually got Wemby ahead of Luka. I've got Luka at 5. But I agree. We talked about this last year when we said if the Spurs get whole, Castle makes another leap in his development, which he has. And then you realize Dylan Harper plays like a guy that's been in the league 3 or 4 years. Like he's built for the NBA. Then you throw in Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, like they are loaded. And remember, guys, they're doing this without De'Aaron Fox. They don't even have De'Aaron Fox yet. I think the Spurs are going to be a top 4 team in the West. I think Wemby has a legitimate chance to win MVP. That doesn't shock me at all. The only team that's really shocking to me is the Bulls. The Bulls are by far the most shocking team to be 4-0. And I see Damian in the chat is ecstatic and is excited. And I'm happy for you. But, this is one of those way too early things. If I were a betting man, Damian, and I don't want to rain on your parade, y'all ain't making the playoffs, man. It's not making the playoffs. I think it's a great start, and it's fun to talk about. But there's a couple of teams in the East that are not even fully healthy yet. I don't think what Chicago's doing is sustainable.
I mean, Josh Giddey is playing out of his mind. I didn't expect that. They're getting good minutes from Kevin Huerter off the bench. Look, Chicago's played good basketball, and it looked like, give all credit where credit's due, but it looks like Billy Donovan is coaching them well. But I laugh when I say that because I don't think Billy Donovan's a great coach. But what surprised you the most about these undefeated teams, Brett?
Yeah, definitely the biggest surprise just has to be the Chicago Bulls. I knew, they're a team that I thought could be somewhat fun, basically because they do have Montes Muzelis, who's been playing great. They've been playing a lot of, fast up-tempo basketball. They've been winning a lot of, close games and even have a couple, have a blowout in there. So that being said, I think that as fun as they are, I still think that they're a play-in team. I think teams like Orlando who are currently out of the playoffs, they'll find their groove at some point. I think, well, he's now Trae Young's hurt, but I still think Atlanta can be dangerous this year. So it's still a tough one to crack, but definitely the biggest and the kind of a fun surprise is definitely the Bulls.
It is fun.
And the rest of the teams, the 76ers are kind of surprising. Wasn't sure what we'd get out of them with the injuries. But they've been a fun surprise. And Spurs and OKC, though, they aren't that much of a surprise to start out the year hot, especially when we see the starts that Wemby and HDA are out to. Ooh, they're just tough to beat.
Man, you know what? I'm going to give credit what credit is due. They drafted Jared McCain, stud, absolute hooper. You go out and you go against the grain. A lot of people were calling for somebody else to be drafted ahead of, and you get the Edgecombe. They've done a terrific job in the draft. I'm going to give Daryl Morey credit. I don't give him a lot of credit because he tends to go for big names and big trades, but he went the right way. This is the youth movement, and I'm not trying to go back to the Sixers, but it's more of a youth movement, which is a good thing. I think when you look at the Bulls, we talk about Monticellis. The guy is terrific. This kid has all the talent in the world, and you're right, Josh Giddey is balling. I hope it's sustainable. I just don't know if it is. I feel like if I were going to do a comp in another sport, I think the Bulls are to the NBA what the Steelers are to the NFL.
It's fair. Want to move off the NBA. 35 minutes NBA. If you want to get some more NBA action, make sure you tune into the N1 podcast. They're going to talk about a lot more NBA. You're going to get a full show of NBA action. I wanted to be the lead today because it just a lot of good action in the NBA. But I want to move on to the World Series. And last night, Game 5, the Dodgers had the opportunity to go up 3-2. You got Blake Snell, big game Blake on the mound, and 22-year-old from Pottstown, Pennsylvania, Trey Yestevai, was absolutely unhittable. 7 innings. The lone mistake that he made was a solo home run to Kiki Hernandez. He had 12 strikeouts. He ran through the top of that lineup. I mean, Will Smith, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman and Teoscar Hernandez all had multiple strikeouts last night. I love that, right now the Blue Jays are up 3-2 going home to Toronto. This Blue Jays team just seems to have it. You start last night's game. Big game Blake on the mound. We're not going to get him twice. He's pitched incredible. We got him game 1. Now he's at home. How do you start the game? Solo homer. 2-0 Blue Jays. Wait a minute. What? Vlad, we talk about Shohei, and Shohei's been absolutely incredible. Broke another record the other night, getting on base 9 times in a baseball game. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has been just as good, if not better, in this postseason. I just want to read you something real quick. Vlad Guerrero has a 506 OBP. Let me read that again. Maybe you didn't understand. Vlad Guerrero has a 506 OBP. Do you know how ridiculous that is in baseball, to be on base more often than you're not in an entire postseason run? I'll read you a few just so you can understand. Ohtani, 392. Will Smith, 357. Mookie Betts, 319. Freddie Freeman, 357. Teoscar Hernandez, 328. Even on his own team, Bo Bichette, 389. He has a 506 OBP. It is silly what Vlad and his Blue Jays team are doing. Nobody predicted this Blue Jays team to be here. Now you have Yamamoto pitching in Game 6 with the season on the line in Toronto Friday night. Your thoughts on this Blue Jays-Dodgers series, gentlemen?
Say, Blake Snell kind of just did the one thing that, he couldn't, right? Get hammered early. When it comes to this Dodgers team, obviously they still have a very good chance to win this series, but the key with Yamamoto in Game 6, it's really simple. You can't let him get to you early. You can't get hammered. The one big issue we've known with this Dodgers team is the middle of that bullpen. It's very hittable. So I've loved the way the series has gone so far. It's just been very unpredictable. And the key in Game 6, and Game 7, it's really simple. Starting pitching for the Dodgers have to be better, because if they get into trouble like they did in Game 5, say the series is over in 6, because I don't trust the middle of that Dodgers bullpen to hold up. So I've loved the way this series has gone so far.
With the day off, Brett, I don't think a reliever outside Sasaki touches the field for the Dodgers the rest of this series. You have 2 games left. And with all the arms that the Dodgers have in their rotation, like I go Yamamoto starting, Ohtani is going to pitch your 7th and 8th. And then I'm not kidding with you. I wouldn't throw a reliever from that Dodgers pen on the field. You got Glasnow, Ohtani, Yamamoto. Like, I think Glasnow's going to end up pitching Game 7 if they make it there. But I wouldn't put another Dodgers middle reliever in this series. Mo, what's your thoughts?
I agree 100%. What are you saving them for? This is it. What are you saving them arms for? This is it. Look, you said something that I really do feel is true. I just feel something about the Blue Jays. They just have it. There's an it, right?
Yeah.
They just have it. When everything says, every metric, when you go on name and talent, the Dodgers are supposed to mow through them. And that's not the case. This is a series where the Dodgers have the star power, but the Blue Jays have been the better team. I actually need Yamamoto to put together a game like we just saw from the Blue Jays pitchers. His name escapes me right now, but it was a masterpiece. I need that from Yamamoto to get us to a Game 7. I need that. Look, Ohtani's been terrific in this series. Freddie Freeman has had moments, but I'm going to give the Blue Jays credit. They've just made plays when they needed to. They've been the better team to this point. I'm going to give them credit. And I really do think this started in that marathon game. I said this to Gene before we went on air. I know what I saw. I know they lost that game, but I felt like losing that game helped them win the war, and they're winning the war now. And I think you got to give hats off to them for doing it. They've just been the better team to this point. And look, it's in Yamamoto's hand. I'm going to be watching, or you're going to be watching. We'll see what happens. But what they've been able to do, Brett, you said this before the season started. If they can knock around the start the pitching and get to that bullpen, because that's a weakness, and they've been able to do that the last couple of games. Give them credit. Their bats have been live.
One of the things that I love about professional baseball, and I don't know how many professional athletes you've watched in your day where you're like, oh man, like I can do what he's doing. Like, and not in a bad way, but like my favorite player to watch in this series is Alejandro Kirk. He's the slowest player in baseball. He's 5'8", 250 pounds. He is absolutely the slowest player in baseball, but my God, that man finds a way to put barrel on ball. And like, you just look at this short, stubby, chubby guy from Tijuana, Mexico, who just gets out there and just hits the baseball and runs around the bases like Ted from like the movie Ted, the teddy bear. It's awesome to watch. This Blue Jays team has just got a lot of fun in them. Just, who do you guys got winning the series and in what game? I'm going to die on my hill. I have the Dodgers in 7.
I'm gonna go Blue Jays in 7. I think this is a fun series, and the way that this series has been going, it's been giving us maximum drama. So I think they take it to the next level, and the Dodgers take Game 6, and we get a Game 7 that the Blue Jays win.
I'm going to be a homer. Be consistent. I got the Dodgers finding a way to pull out a classic in 7.
I feel like that if you're the Dodgers, if you're Dave Roberts, no one touches that field outside of one of your ace starting pitchers. Because even in Game 7, that'll be enough time for that Snell's bullpen day. Because that'll be on Saturday. He pitched on Wednesday. You can use Snell for 2 innings out of the bullpen. Like I'm going tonight, like tomorrow night, I'm going Yamamoto, Ohtani, Sasaki, and I'm going with the Japanese connection to get me a win in Game 6. And in Game 7, I'm going Glasnow, Snell. That's what I'm doing. I'm not throwing another reliever in this series. But we'll see.
I agree.
All right, listen, I'm just a regular guy that just watches the game. I'm going to move on to the NFL. I'm not sure how much of you guys, Carmike, see it. There's been a lot of talk. There's been a lot of text messages today. I don't know if you guys seen the beginning of Wire to Wire last night. And if you did see the beginning of Wire to Wire, you witnessed a very passionate argument between myself and Showie. And it went back and forth for a good 10 to 15 minutes. And it's a lot of curse words were thrown at each other. Honestly, if he was in the same room at me, I would have probably attacked him. I really wanted to fight him during that argument. But that's what makes sports beautiful. We move on and we talk the rest of the night. But the part of me that I just can't get off my head is there are a few, and I mean 10 to 15% of Philadelphia Eagles fans that are like A.J. Brown defenders. And then the massive majority of us. Now, let me start here. Have you not heard about A.J. Brown's Instagram and tweets? Not from me, but from national media. From Wake Up with Mike Greenberg, from Pat McAfee, from Colin Cowherd. I mean, it's been everywhere, in my opinion. Maybe I'm tripping, but have you not heard about A.J. Brown's comments with The Athletic? Is this not a local story? This is a national story. Am I tripping?
Facts. It's a national story.
Because last night, Showie made it seem like no one was talking about it, but me and other local idiots. The Philadelphia Eagles are 6-2. They played their best offensive game last week without A.J. Brown. I'm not saying we don't need him. What I'm saying is I just wish when they pay you to be a top 3 receiver, if their stats don't match, then just and you're winning the football games that you become a team player. I think AJ is way more at fault for this dispute than Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has been nothing but a professional in the media, been nothing but a professional when he's asked questions. He takes no pot shots. I understand he's a robot, is what I was told. But AJ Brown is causing so much rift inside the Eagles locker room, in my opinion, that this offseason they're 100% getting rid of him. Win a Super Bowl, don't win a Super Bowl. But I think he'll be the main reason why this Eagles offense sputters down the stretch, and this Philadelphia Eagles team does not win back-to-back Super Bowls. I'd love to get your thoughts on the A.J. Brown situation. He made comments with The Athletic. He's talked to Diana Rossini. He's basically said, yeah, I want to win, but I also want to contribute to winning. So if we're winning and I'm not, I want to contribute. And like that means more to me than anything. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, gentlemen.
I would like to know this. I mean, because you're a Philly guy, you're there. This isn't another one of those situations like back in the day where T.O. became very disruptive and the locker room was split. I mean, my perception, and I'm on the outside, is that he's a disruption, but I think the locker room still rides with Jalen Hurts. I mean, again, you might think that you might know differently, but I think they're all buying into, man, we're trying to win. And this is our quarterback. And that's what we're focused on. Whereas back in the day, obviously, there were some guys riding with T.O., there were guys riding with McNabb, and the locker room was completely split. This is not another one of those situations, is it?
So I think the situation with AJ and T.O. are different. T.O.'s situation, I gave a 45% blame to Donovan, and I felt like the locker room was completely split. Donovan McNabb publicly campaigned for the Eagles to pay Brian Westbrook. Terrell Owens had a record-breaking season and didn't say a word. That's business. I'm not, let them handle their business. So T.O. felt slighted, Donovan went out and asked for T.O., and the Eagles went out and brought T.O. A lot of stuff came out later is Donovan was, I guess, frustrated with the fact that the city liked T.O. more, that, the fan base, and he was the bigger star, and he got frustrated and his ego played a part. I think with AJ, it's a lot different in a sense that if he doesn't see the ball and he's not contributing, he cares about his stats and him winning one-on-ones more than winning, and that bothers me. And he thinks that him getting the ball will contribute to winning, but sometimes the game script doesn't call for that. Why make a risky play when you're up 10 points and you can run the ball with Saquon Barkley? In my mind, I think that it's more of game script versus ego in the other situation. Just my opinion, though. I would love for this. Listen, Philadelphia has a few 30 for 30s coming. They do. Markelle Fultz, Ben Simmons.
Oh, yeah.
A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts. Jalen's the godfather of A.J.'s child. And they don't like each other anymore. And everyone talks about the Eagles bringing in Brandon Graham because of their pass rush. I think Brandon Graham is an olive branch because everyone loves him and people follow him. And I think they needed to get control of the locker room. Jory said, absolutely. If you don't have a coach that can instill discipline, who can connect with these diva players, it's going to play out like this. AJ's situation sounds like AB in Tampa. It's close. Brett, your thoughts on this?
It's one of those things, right? Even because obviously I don't know what's going on in the locker room. Maybe Jalen Hurts is causing some issues that we don't know about. But the difference it would be, right? Even if Jalen Hurts is somewhat at fault for this, and I don't know if he's causing any disruptions because I'm not there, but he's not going public with it. And if you have problems with your teammates or the game script or anything, that's something you just kind of keep in house, right? So I think AJ Brown is putting himself in a position where even if it comes out later that he wasn't 100% at fault, that he's going to make himself seem 100% at fault because he's making comments to the Athletic, cryptic tweets, cryptic, Instagram posts. So I think most of the Eagles, do ride with Jalen Hurts, but I also don't think AJ Brown is doing himself any favors because even if Jalen Hurts is at fault, for example, nobody's going to see it that way because Jalen Hurts is keeping it to himself and keeping it moving like a professional, and AJ Brown just keeps talking and making cryptic tweets. So I don't think AJ Brown in this scenario is doing AJ Brown any favors.
Exactly. I think my point in the bigger picture of this is the goal is to get back to the Super Bowl and win another Super Bowl. And if in that process, AJ Brown has another all-pro season, that's great. But if he doesn't, and let's say he just has a really good season, but not an all-pro season, but they get back and win the Super Bowl, that should be all that matters. That's my mindset. And I will say this. I think I'll give T.O. credit just to go back real quick to the other situation. T.O. was mad about money, but he wasn't about stats. It wasn't about if I don't get the ball, I'm going to be miserable. I feel like A.J. Brown is like, I want to – what's that line he used? Using me while not using me. Like, you're just trying too hard for like to make this a public thing when this could have been a conversation in private between you, the OC, and your QB. I would have been celebrating the win last week because you not only won, your running game looked like the running game from last year. And that matters to me. If I'm an opponent and the Eagles running game has woken up, I'd be afraid. If I'm A.J. Brown, if the running game is better, there'll be more opportunities for you in play action. I'm just saying.
He went back and deleted a bunch of old tweets of him praising Jalen Hurts. Like, that has got to be the most petty thing I've ever seen in my life. He literally went on his Instagram and his Twitter, typed the name Jalen Hurts in, and just started deleting tweets.
That's crazy.
Like, that is absurd. I got two more things we got to get into before the show ends, and we're kind of running up against it. But I think that's an indicative point of who's the issue here. But I got to bring this up. I used this as my "you got to be kidding me" last night. Kevin O'Connell, I think someone needs to investigate the Minnesota Vikings. What they did last week to Carson Wentz is malpractice. I want to read you the injuries that Carson Wentz suffered a season-ending left shoulder injury. He has a dislocated left shoulder, a torn labrum, and a fractured socket. He fractured the socket week 5 against Cleveland. He played 2 more games against the Eagles and the Chargers while attempting to manage the pain, and tore his labrum and dislocated his shoulder. Anybody that watched that football game last Thursday, anybody, if that game was 26-23 and Carson's like, you're not taking me out of this game, like, you're not taking me out of this game, I'm going to finish this game and we have a chance to win the game, okay, I can hear that argument. I hate that, but I can hear it. The game was 37-10. The guy is wincing in pain. It is absolutely abysmal that he was in that game throughout the fourth quarter. They took him out the last drive. Like, this is like malpractice. Part of your job is these football players are going to want to play, especially a backup that's getting another opportunity in the NFL. Your job is to protect your player. Am I wrong here?
Yeah, that's crazy that they would play him and leave him in, especially knowing the injuries that he already sustained. I felt like they treated him like a throwaway, like he's not part of our future, so we're good, right? Like that's a terrible look on the head coach, on the GM, and a terrible look on the medical staff. Look, look, whatever you think about Carson Wentz or any player, you should never do that to him. That's terrible. I'll be honest, I did not know that the extent of his injuries till you said what you said. That's crazy to me. Look, and hats off to Wentz for being that kind of competitor, and he was willing to go out there knowing he was dealing with those type of injuries.
Brett?
Yeah, at the end of the day, when you're the coach and you're the organization, sometimes you have to protect these players from themselves. One thing that you can say a lot of things about Carson Wentz. One thing you can't say is he's tough. He's tough as nails. We've seen this guy tear an ACL and then continue to play on it for the rest of the drive. So this guy is tough. He's going to want to play through pretty much anything. But it's a situation where the Vikings should have never had him out there. You say you had time, knowing all these injuries, to sign another quarterback, get one on the roster. If J.J. McCarthy couldn't go, which he was healthy enough to be the emergency quarterback, so clearly he can play. So
that's the part that really, I guess, stands out to me, is if you're healthy enough to be the emergency quarterback, are you just protecting yourself or JJ McCarthy from himself? Like, this kid's a bust. Am I wrong?
No, apparently you're not wrong. Apparently the Vikings think so too. They're like, look, Carson Wentz with you pretty much can't throw the football. We're going to keep playing him over you. Apparently, Brosmer's just the worst quarterback in NFL history because he never even got talked about to play. They went out and got John Wolford. So, yeah, it's an interesting situation in Minnesota, but they've very much mishandled this Carson Wentz situation.
That makes me feel like they don't have any hope in or belief in JJ McCarthy. Let's put Carson out there with one arm, bad shoulder, and he's still a better option than you are. That's not good.
Last thing of the day tonight, Thursday Night Football. The Baltimore Ravens, with the return of Lamar Jackson, will be headed in the Hard Rock Stadium to take on the Miami Dolphins, who played their best game of the season versus Atlanta last week. Games in Miami, Dolphins, Ravens, spread 7.5, over-unders 51.5. What are your thoughts on tonight's action?
It's one of those things with this game. I'm still not going to be looking at the offense. I get that Lamar Jackson can come and he can lead this offense to score 35 and 40, and that's great. At the end of the day, the Ravens defense still has to show me something. And one interception by Nate Wiggins over a late ball thrown over the middle from Caleb Williams isn't showing me, that you can play, a continued stretch of dominance. It was a great start in Chicago for that defense. Now show me you can do it against Miami. Show me you can do it for a couple weeks before I buy in again. But as much as the attention is going to be on Lamar Jackson, I think we just need to really lock in on this Ravens defense, see if they can do what they did against Chicago again. I got the Ravens winning this game. I'll go 30. I'll go 30-20, but it should be a fun game tonight.
Roquan Smith absolutely looked like himself. So did Kyle Hamilton this last game. I don't know where that came from or where it was hiding, but Nate Wiggins, Roquan Smith, and Kyle Hamilton all played great games versus Chicago. Granted, Chicago's offense is inept to begin with. Inept. Jesus. Mo, who do you got tonight, and what's the score?
I'm gonna go Ravens, and I'll say Ravens 31-23. To me, it's real simple. If the Ravens can't beat the Dolphins, I think their season's over. I think that's a big. We talked a lot, you and I, about how we think the Ravens could still come back and win the division. This is one of those games they got to win. They have to win this game for us to. I believe for us to be right, because I do think the Steelers are going to lose more. I think the winner of that division can win that division with 9 wins.
All right, last thing, I'll give you my prediction. I think the Ravens win this game. I think they run efficiently tonight. I think tonight's the Derrick Henry game. I got it 41-23 Ravens. I think it's a blowout. I think the Ravens are going to win the division. I think one thing you got to remember, the second half Ravens were the best defense in football last year. After their bye week, I know it's only 1 week, but defense looked better. We'll see how they look tonight in Hard Rock. I'll take the Ravens. I think it's a blowout, 41-23. That's all we got today. That's it. We're out of time. Make sure you tune in to the sideline tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I will be back with my man Guardy 3, Kyle Edwards, Matt Godfrey. And then afterwards, while you're watching some Thursday night football, tune into the N1 podcast tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Central, for my man Brett Gardy 3 and Mo Betta. Gentlemen, any final comments?
No, great show, fun show. Appreciate you chat with all the energy. Jory, Kyle, Daniel Dempsey, I see you checking in. Appreciate you guys so much.
Yeah, same. Like you said, make sure to tune into And One tonight. Be talking some about Phil Jackson and Stoudemire throwing Carmelo under the bus for those mid-2010 Knicks teams. He's had some controversial statements from Richard Jefferson that I need to blast him for. So it's going to be a great time.
Let's tune in. Keep listening to the Wire to Wire Network, and we'll see you on the other side. Take care, guys.